Well, it's done. It has taken a year. There have been 3 transfer windows that have passed, but finally, Arsenal have got their man. They have got their goal scorer through the door. They have done everything that they needed to do. They have gone out and they have signed a best in class. Now, this is the most important thing that we will discuss tonight. They have gone and they have signed a best in class. Whether it works or not, the intent from Arsenal is impressive. The direction of travel for Arsenal is impressive because what they haven't done, they haven't taken any shortcuts. They have gone out and they have signed the best possible player that they could sign to give them what they need, which is goals. Arsenal have had goals galore in the team, but they haven't had that man. They haven't had that man that can turn the ball into the back of the net when they most need it. Across that front line, Arsenal probably have, half a dozen players that can score a dozen goals? But it isn't enough. They need somebody that can change the trajectory of a game, score a winner when they desperately need it away at Paris Saint-Germain. And in Viktor Gyokeres, they have gone out and they have potentially brought in the man to do it. I think it's a very impressive signing for many reasons. But I also think the statement that Arsenal have made, they have gone out and they have signed a marquee, Europe's premier hitman. That's what they have got. And ultimately, now the pressure is on. It's going to be a big moment, whether this can work for Arsenal, and I believe that it probably can. I think that Arsenal are now in course to challenge for the title. I think they need more. I think they need a few tweaks, and rather impressively and rather dauntingly for the rest of the Premier League, the news has just broken from Fabrizio that Eberechi Eze is still in their sights. It's big. It's really big. But ultimately, Arsenal have gone out and they have got a best in class. And the last time they did that was Declan Rice. And when you think about how that one worked out for them, when you think about what Declan Rice has brought to that team, when you think about their elevation, it's big. Let me see what's going on here. Fabrizio is saying that Eberechi Eze is still in the sights. Now, that for me would be a needle mover. They bring in Gyokeres and they bring in Eberechi Eze. And when you think about what Eberechi Eze would bring to that team, when you think about the power and the prowess of Eberechi Eze, when you think about the proven qualities of Eberechi Eze, if they are to get that one over the line as well, all of a sudden, Arsenal become genuine title contenders. I think it's going to be very difficult for them at the moment, but there is a long way left to go. The first super chat of the night has landed. It's from Sanchez, who says, how many goals does Gyokeres need in his first season to not be disrespectful to the establishment? What I'm about to say to you here is going to sound very harsh, but I'm afraid when you are Arsenal and you have been dancing at the top table for such a long time, when you're Arsenal and you have finished second 3 years in a row, when you are Arsenal and you are clearly one tweak away from winning the Premier League, when you're Arsenal and 2 years ago you were the best team in the league, last year you should have won the league. Arsenal have constantly been knocking on the door, and therefore we have to judge Viktor Gyokeres by the harshest of yardsticks. He is coming in to an elite team. He is coming in to lead the line for an elite crop of players. He is coming in to ultimately be a difference maker. So when I say what I'm about to say, please take all of that into account. For him to succeed, I think he needs to be on the shortlist for Premier League Player of the Year. If he is on the shortlist for Premier League Player of the Year, Arsenal have probably won the league. If Viktor Gyokeres comes in and does what Arsenal fans think he can do, does what Mikel Arteta clearly believes he can do, does what Arsenal fans are dreaming he can do, if he comes in and scores an abundance of goals, Arsenal will win the Premier League. And then it becomes a question of how is that going to happen. In Bukayo Saka, they have somebody that is a guarantee, a world-class player. And then it's over the other wing. And there is now a genuine chance that Eberechi Eze will become an Arsenal player. And you've seen what I've put in the poll there. Eberechi Eze or Rodrigo? Who is the answer for Arsenal to win a Premier League title? Arsenal desperate to win a Premier League title. They haven't won for 2 decades. Who's the player to get them over the line? Is it Eberechi Eze and his proven Premier League qualities, or is it multiple European Cup winning Rodrigo? Real Madrid's starlet Rodrigo, a player that has done the business for Rodrigo in the biggest of circumstances. What player do you want? And I can see that there is a runaway leader in our poll. Eberechi Eze is flying in this poll, which surprises me to a degree because Rodrigo is a wonderful footballer. When you think about what Rodrigo has done, have you ever seen Rodrigo's goal against Atletico Madrid? When he passes the ball basically from one foot to the other foot, drops a shoulder, burst of pace, elite level goal. That header when he knocks Man City out of the Champions League. Unbelievable. You know, the goal against us. The heartbreaker against us. It was outrageously brilliant. And people forget quite how good Rodrigo is and quite how brilliant and glorious the finish was against Chelsea, because everybody talks about the exquisite assist from Luka Modric. You know that Luka Modric outside of the boot, curling the wrong way, that pass, the finish was Rodrigo. First time, bang, left the keeper just standing there. Outrageous. Oh, a second Super Chat has just landed. By the way, diving back into the Super Chat folder, we have Owen, who has said, for Gyokeres to work, Arsenal have to change their system. Arsenal play slow-paced, U-shaped football, but then they end up camped around the box. Hence the decline in every Arsenal attacker outside of Saka. I think you need to play to his strengths. I agree with some of what you said there, Owen. Lovely to welcome you into this community, by the way. Thank you so much for joining. But I agree with a lot of what you said there, but I also disagree with some of it. I think that Arsenal need to change the way they play. They need to bring out the best in Gyokeres. They need to create a world where Gyokeres can thrive. But equally, Arsenal have been a dazzling team now for 3 years. Arsenal have been competing and eating and dining at the top table for 3 years. Gyokeres needs to fit in with them. Arsenal have been playing really well. I think in Bukayo Saka, they have a genuinely world-class player, a player who is comparable to the very best in the world. Like, you know, when we talk about, I don't know, Vinicius Jr., a player that I rated really highly, and still do. Bukayo Saka's a better player than Vinicius Jr. Like, that's not controversial. That's not a particularly insightful thing to say. That's not particularly enlightening. But he just is. Bukayo Saka is top tier. And if Mikel Arteta can now pursue Eberechi Eze and mirror the brilliance of Saka on one wing with what Eberechi Eze can do on the other wing, suddenly Gyokeres has to fit in. Imagine what Eberechi Eze would do. You know, it's all very well talking about this Gyokeres signing. And don't get me wrong, this is huge. Like, the man is a goal machine. Like, he has destroyed defences all over Portugal and some in the Champions League, including Manchester City. But just think about what Eze would do to that Arsenal front line. He would elevate Mikel Arteta's options beyond recognition. Suddenly, Martin Odegaard would have to become one of the best players in the league in order to keep his position at number 10. That's how it would work. He would have to become undroppable in order to keep his position at number 10 in that Arsenal front line. Because if he didn't, suddenly Eberechi Eze is playing in there, and we could end up having some very uncomfortable conversations about Martin Odegaard. Or Martin Odegaard would raise his game, he'd become one of the best number 10s in the league. He would become undroppable for Mikel Arteta, which would mean Eberechi Eze would play out wide on the other side. So the front line would suddenly look like Gyokeres leading the line, the goal machine, the man that has destroyed Portugal, the man that has been ripping it up consistently time and time and time again. You would have Gyokeres leading the line, with Odegaard, who's undroppable because of the form he's playing in, behind Eberechi Eze, Bukayo Saka. Title worthy. Absolutely title worthy. That is undoubtedly a brilliant front line. And Arsenal deserve credit here. You know, Arsenal deserve credit here. They have got their man. I think annoyingly, do you know what I've just done? I've just quoted Keir Starmer spoke about Gyokeres going to Arsenal. He wanted him, didn't he? Why am I talking about that? But I saw that Keir Starmer said, get the man. And Arsenal have actually gone and done it. And I think that they have signed the right one. You know, when there was talk about other possible centre-forwards, there was talk, wasn't there, about should you choose Gyokeres or should you choose Sesko? Who's a better option for Arsenal? Now, a lot of people were missing the point here. There was a big discussion about the brilliance of Sesko. And this is where Arsenal fans, a lot of them were getting it wrong. They were talking about Sesko and his sell-on value and the fact that he's younger. And I felt like just screaming, Arsenal don't need sell-on value. Arsenal need a player for the here and now, somebody to win them the league now. It doesn't matter that Sesko's younger. It doesn't matter that Sesko might be a better player in 3 years' time than Viktor Gyokeres. It doesn't matter. Arsenal need somebody for the proven here and now. And that is why it is very impressive what Arsenal have done. And we must give Andrea Berta an awful lot of credit here. You know, he has got this right. You know, he became the Arsenal sporting director when, March? And let's face it, the way that he has negotiated, the way that he's handled the transfers, and his track record at Atletico Madrid, they've done really well here. Because effectively, they have got a bargain. You know, it's a very impressive deal. It's structured in a very impressive way. And signing Gyokeres, it tells you that Arsenal mean business. I think they could feel that it was ebbing away from them a touch. I think they could feel that it wasn't necessarily going their way. Liverpool were the best team in the league. They were strengthening. They were strengthening beyond what Arsenal had done. They were already the best team in the league, and they were strengthening beyond that. And I think that they realised that they had to get someone else in. The Arsenal FC, not Arteta FC, is in the Super Chat and says, bro, Eze is a 10, Rodrigo's a left winger. Both should go. Yeah, I mean, I think that's true, but Eze could equally play out wide. If Martin Odegaard is the player that he was 2 years ago, remember all that link up with Gabriel Jesus? You remember when Arsenal, they had a game very early in the season, I think it was a Bournemouth away, they won 3-0, Gabriel Jesus scored, Odegaard scored 2, and the link up between Jesus and Odegaard was brilliant. Odegaard at that point was one of the best 10s in the country. If Odegaard is that version of Odegaard, then you're right. Then yeah, you're right. Odegaard's a 10, Eze probably doesn't displace him in the team. But if Odegaard is that player, then I think Eze plays wide, don't you? I think you still need Eze, but Eze plays wide. And also, realistically, I don't think there is a world where Eze and Rodrigo arrive. Do you? I mean, possible, I guess, but very unlikely. Somebody, I think, as well in the super chat is wishing me happy birthday. Yeah, thank you very much for my birthday earlier in the week. You are very kind, and I really do appreciate it. But today is a brilliant day for Arsenal. You know, if you think about it, a year ago, Arsenal were desperate for a centre-forward, and they didn't go and get Gyokeres. They didn't go and make a signing. And there was then talk about signing potentially Ollie Watkins and whatever else, and it was just ridiculous because you could see that Arsenal were like a coiled spring, ready to do the business, ready to win the league. And instead of making that happen, they tried to redefine Kai Havertz. They tried to redefine Mikel Merino, who played admirably there. And I think a lot of Arsenal fans believe that Kai Havertz did a decent job. But ultimately, it wasn't good enough. This is it. This is what they should be doing. Like Viktor Gyokeres, when you think about the way that he plays the game, he is a battering ram of a striker. He is a brute. He is a bully. And when I use the word bully, I say it in the most glowing term. It is one of the most positive words that I can use to describe a football player. I genuinely mean that. Never be a bully off the field, but be a bully on the field. Make sure that you're horrible to play against. Make sure that opposition fans detest you. And when you think about his absurd scoring record, when you think about the ridiculous volume of goals that he has scored, 98 goals in 102 games sounds like a joke, doesn't it? It doesn't sound like a real stat. It doesn't sound like something that's actually factual. It sounds like I'm either embellishing or I've forgotten the actual numbers. I'm being serious here. 98 goals in 102 games. Ludicrous, absurd, like non-reality. And that's the goals that he scored. And then think about the way that he plays the game. Is this fair to say? If you're an Arsenal fan, I'm sure you have an opinion on this. Is it fair to say that Arsenal over the years, particularly this version of Arsenal, the Mikel Arteta version of Arsenal, it's been a little bit too nice. It's been a little bit too kind. It's been a little bit too generous. It doesn't necessarily have that edge, that spite, that venom, that detestable quality that every champion has. And I'm talking about greats here. Let me just prove this point to you. Arsenal fans, I'm going to use an Arsenal example. Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp, one of the most beautiful footballers to have ever lived. One of the most graceful footballers to have ever lived. A player that used to literally dance with the ball at his feet. A player that has scored better quality goals than basically any other footballer in the game. If you were to get any footballer's collection of top 5 goals in terms of the beauty of the goal, Dennis Bergkamp could win this competition. Absolutely unbelievable footballer. Do you know how nasty he was? Do you know how hateful he was on a football pitch? Did anybody watch The Overlap? The Overlap with Thierry Henry. It was a wonderful watch, a brilliant interview, and I could listen to Thierry Henry talk about football forever, alongside Carragher and Keane and everyone. It was just an amazing episode. But Thierry Henry said something amazing in it, and it belies the character of Dennis Bergkamp. Remember, he is the most graceful and elegant footballer that we've ever seen. But listen to what Thierry Henry said about him. Thierry Henry goes like this. They're talking about how aggressive football could be. And this is what Henry said. He went, we got into it a bit. We had a bit of a fight with a centre-half at Leicester. I think it was Matty Elliott. And he basically went, you know what Dennis is like. Talking about how horrible Dennis Bergkamp could be. I think Dennis Bergkamp fouled Danny Mills, left a stud mark on him. Mills got carried off because of the Pires spat. Dennis Bergkamp did that. Dennis Bergkamp went and purposefully did that. Now, the reason I'm telling you this story is because Arsenal haven't had that quality, and I use the word quality correctly. They haven't had that quality in the team enough of late. Gyokeres has it. Gyokeres is a fighter. Gyokeres is a horror. He's Diego Costa-like. He is a battering ram of a centre-forward, and it is something that Arsenal so desperately need. Like, when I think about Arsenal's aggression at the moment, do you know what? This is going to sound ridiculous, but if you're an Arsenal fan, let me know your thoughts here. Does this chime with you? I feel like Bukayo Saka has almost become Arsenal's personality. He's almost become the leading statesman. Like, you know, some people Cool. Bukayo Saka, the star boy. He's not that anymore. He's elevated beyond that. He is now like the man of the team. Like there was a moment, wasn't there, at Stamford Bridge? I remember there was a clash and Moises Caicedo had gone through someone at Arsenal. He'd gone through someone badly. 2 minutes later, Bukayo Saka has left one on Caicedo. 2 minutes later, Bukayo Saka has gone and bullied our bully. And I think that Saka's got everything. He's a wonderful footballer. I think he's one of the best footballers in the world. But he shouldn't be the enforcer. Arsenal have needed some other players of that ilk. And I feel like now they have got it. Bringing in a player like Viktor Gyokeres, the way that he likes to play the game, the fact that he's 27, the fact that he has that experience, the fact that he is a proven goal scorer, the fact that he has already played in the English league, the fact that he has already signed for Brighton and Hove Albion when he was, 20 or whatever it was. All these things come together to create a player that could be ideal. He was loaned to Swansea. He played for Coventry. He's done that journey. You know, players, they often have to do that journey. They get a move, they go up, they go down, and then they find their feet. Mohamed Salah got his move to Chelsea. It was too soon. He had to go away and play in Italy before he then got the move back to the statement big club. It happens. It happens time and time again. Players have to make that move before making that move again. You know, we've seen countless examples. Hugo Ekitike is another example. He had a chance at Paris Saint-Germain. He had to drop down to Frankfurt before getting a chance at Liverpool. I use the Salah example. He got the Chelsea opportunity. It was too soon. He had to drop down again to the Serie A, which was obviously a lesser league, and Chelsea were champions at the time, so Chelsea were a better team. And then he came back to Liverpool. Viktor Gyokeres has done exactly that. He got the move, he dropped down, and there he's gone back. It's like a coiled spring ready to launch into this league. And I tell you what, Arsenal are looking for that missing piece, aren't they? What is going to turn them from genuine contenders into actual quantifiable winners? And Viktor Gyokeres, he looks like a player that is just ready, doesn't he? In terms of a player that you could launch into a first team and go, look, right, we're going to launch you into our first team. We're also going to launch you straight into the Premier League, the hostile environment that is the Premier League. In terms of that, isn't Viktor Gyokeres simply that? You know, isn't he the perfect example of somebody that could do that? You know, I mean, some Arsenal fans were optimistic that maybe Alexander Isak could have been heading their way. But ultimately, once Newcastle qualified for the Champions League, it was going to be very difficult. It was going to be very difficult for Arsenal to offer something else. Like Liverpool offer something else, they're champions. Arsenal don't offer anything else to Newcastle. It's not that, apart from the history of the club and whatever else, they just don't quite offer enough. So I think that this really is a huge day for the Premier League title race, a huge day for Arsenal, and a huge day for Viktor Gyokeres. He's got the move that he desperately wanted. And that is a significant point, and one that we cannot overlook. We really do need to acknowledge quite how important it is that Viktor Gyokeres effectively chose Arsenal. He didn't get sold to Arsenal. He didn't end up at Arsenal. It's not a club that he didn't want to play for. He did everything within his power to make sure that the move to Arsenal occurred. You know, he and his agent both come together and decided that that was the move for them, and they did everything within their power to make sure that happened. And I mean, that is the dream for Arsenal. From an Arsenal perspective, that is exactly what you want to hear. You want players who buy into your ethos, players who know the history. The fact that he is going to be wearing the 14. Now, I think the 14 shirt at Arsenal was an interesting one because, on some level, it's incredibly inspiring, right? The greatest footballer to have ever played for Arsenal, arguably the greatest footballer to have ever played in the Premier League, wore that shirt. But you know, some shirts, they're a little bit intimidating, aren't they? Some shirts, for some players, can be intimidating. Now, the Arsenal shirt, 14, I feel like it's a really inspiring shirt, but I don't necessarily feel like it will weigh down on him. If it works, it's great, and he can take a lot of pride in wearing Thierry Henry's shirt at the Emirates Stadium. But it's not like the Man United number 7, Brian Robson, Eric Cantona, Cristiano Ronaldo, David Beckham. It isn't like that, because Eddie Nketiah was just wearing it, and I say that in a complimentary way. The fact that Eddie Nketiah has worn that shirt, it kind of takes a sting out of it a bit. So it has the prestige of Henry, but it doesn't have the pressure of Henry, because he hasn't actually taken it from Henry, he's taken it from Nketiah. So I think it it kind of works well. And ultimately, this is just the dream signing for Arsenal. I really think it is. Let me dive into the comments here and say what you're all saying. I am assuming that there is nothing other than universal love from Arsenal fans. My question to you would be, does this change you into a genuine title contender? Can you see the world where Arsenal actually win the league? Sessa could be better now is my only concern, says Sam. I just don't think that's true. I just don't think that's true. Based on what? Sesko scored 14 goals? I just don't think it's true. You could argue he's done it in a harder league, but I just don't think you can. I just don't think that's true, Sam. For the here and now, the answer is Viktor Gyokeres, and Arsenal deserve massive credit for getting that signing over the line. Thank you for your super chat. Senai Eskinder, I've seen you before, sir. How are you? What's your opinion on Xavi Simons to Chelsea? I think Siemens is a good player. I really do. I think he's an interesting player, a good player. My issue is, I think that his best position is at number 10. Now, I can't say that I've watched a lot of Siemens, but what I can guarantee you is he isn't a better number 10 than Cole Palmer. And when I think about where our squad needs replenishments, when I think about where our squad needs elevation, I would say that another number 10 is not what we need. Siemens is a good player. I like him. And if we already had a goalkeeper and a centre-half and a midfielder, I'd be quite pleased about it. But the fact that we don't makes me kind of think that that this isn't quite what we need. And realistically, I just don't think he gets in the team simply because he's not going to be better than Cole Palmer. So we shall see. Just seen some other news here, by the way, for any Arsenal fan in the house. Gibbs White's not going to Tottenham, which I imagine you're finding wholly entertaining. It's bad news for Tottenham, that, because he's a very, very good player. Vil Ram says, Real Madrid's 09-10 window is better than Liverpool's, even if they get Isak. Ronaldo, Kaká, Benzema, Xavi Alonso in the same window is truly insane. Yeah, I mean, do you know what? If we're going to talk about best windows, I mean, Arsenal here are having a good one. If they marry up the Gyokeres signing with the Zubimendi signing, with the Eze signing, I think you're talking about Arsenal having a brilliant window as well. But you know, a window, that I feel like it's just totally ignored. Doesn't get the love that it deserves. In the same window, Chelsea signed Drogba, Arjen Robben, Thiago Mendes, Petr Cech. Like, it's an unbelievable window from Chelsea, that window. You know, Petr Cech, Didier Drogba went on to become some of the best players that the club have ever had. Arjen Robben is one of the most glorious footballers to have ever lived. Thiago Mendes was a wonderful midfielder for us. And there were more. I think of Ricardo Carvalho, Paulo Ferreira, maybe even the same window. It really was an unbelievable one. Away End TV says, would you rather Arsenal win the Premier League or the Champions League? Neither. Absolutely none. Absolutely none. That feels very Sophie's choice to me, and I refuse to answer it. Impossible. I desperately hope that Arsenal win nothing next season. Sadly, I have a feeling that they will win silverware next season. It's not something I want to happen. It's not something I even want to say. It's not a world that I can countenance. But they're building a really good team. Mikel Arteta deserves an awful lot of credit. He really does. I don't understand it. I don't understand the Mikel Arteta hatred. Is that the right word? Certainly, there are a section of Arsenal fans that are most certainly non-conformist to what Mikel Arteta has done. Now, when I think about Mikel Arteta's contributions, should he have won something? Yeah. I think 2 years ago, Arsenal were the best team in the league. Do you remember that? From January to the end of the season, they only lost to Villa. They lost to Villa in that one moment at the Emirates, and it cost them the league title. But they were basically flawless. Didn't they win 17 out of 19 games in the second half of the season? They ultimately lost the league because pre-Christmas, they dropped points to Fulham, I think. Fulham and West Ham. West Ham at home, Fulham away. So they had the best team in the league that season, which was very impressive. They didn't win the league, but they had the best team that season. They got to a semi-final of the Champions League last year. They beat Real Madrid home and away. And now, I can talk about this, and it must be... I think this is a really, really good way of looking at it. I think that the way that I felt about Arsenal last year should give Mikel Arteta so much inspiration. I hatefully but genuinely believed that Arsenal were going to win the Champions League off the back of beating Real Madrid home and away. They beat Real Madrid home and away. Real Madrid, who were the current European Cup holders. They beat them home and away. Off the back of that happening, I genuinely believed that Arsenal were going to win the Champions League. The fact that I believed that and was terrified about that, and honestly, it's on my mind all the time. Sleepless nights, I was actually thinking about it all the time. I was genuinely worried. Arteta made that worry exist in me. Arteta made it a realistic thing. Arteta turned Arsenal from, at times a joke, into a serious football club. And yes, I do agree that Mikel Arteta needs an identifier. He needs something to solidify this crop of players. Every great team has something. You need to have an identifiable quality. Arsenal went unbeaten. That's Wenger. Slot has won the league. That's him. Chelsea's 05 team is probably, in my opinion, the 95-point team. Lost one game all season. In my opinion, that's one of the best teams ever created. The retaining of the Premier League title in that same team was unreal. Everyone's got a thing, right? If you don't have a thing, you're kind of forgotten. If you don't win a trophy, you're kind of forgotten. And Arsenal need that. But apart from that, and if they get that, Arteta's done a wonderful job. And when I see Arsenal fans, and look, Arsenal fans on YouTube, they will know more about their club than me. But when I see them being snide to Arteta, when I see them like calling for his head, I just can't work it out. I genuinely can't work it out. But, they know more about their club than me. So what can I say? Diving back into the super chat here, there is one from... It says, DM Arsenal Archive says, big up. What's this? Sorry, man. I can't. Big up Rory, Arsenal season ticket holder who goes all over Europe, not a delusional fan. Most expectant I've been for us to win a Premier League since we blew it in 07-08. If Eduardo didn't get injured. Mate, do you know what you could have done that year? There was three of us going for the title. We'd have won it if we didn't have Avram Grant in the job. Genuinely. It was a Roman Abramovich big mistake. But yeah, I think you're right. I think you could have won it as well if it wasn't for that horrific Eduardo injury. Yeah, mate, I can see why you'd be most expectant. However, do you think there's anything in this theory? This is going to be a harder league for you to win than either of the 2 years previously. I feel like the Liverpool team that you now have to overcome, and I'm not saying you can't do it. You can do it. I think you need more. I think you need Eze. But if you go and sign Eberechi Eze off the back of Gyokeres, I think there is a world where you could actually do it. But I do believe that it would be the hardest league ever for you to win. That's what I honestly believe, because you're going to have to overcome a potentially resurgent Man City and a re-emerging Pep Guardiola 4.0, plus one of the most devastating Liverpool teams that I think the Premier League has ever seen. That's what I think this Liverpool team is going to be. Can you win it? You'll have to answer me this question. Can you accrue 95 points? If you can accrue 95 points, you can win the league. If you can't accrue 95 points, I don't think you can. I think that the league tally to win the league, whoever wins it, whether you believe it's Chelsea, whether you believe it's Man City, whether you believe it's Liverpool, whether you believe it's Arsenal, whatever team wins it will have to accrue 95 points. I don't think Chelsea are capable of accruing 95 points. I'll be totally frank with you. I desperately hope it's true. I desperately hope we can. But I just think that is such a supreme tally that we won't get to it. But let me know your thoughts. I appreciate that message as well. Yeah, I really do, actually. It's nice that you got sort of Arsenal fans home and away that are in here. Very interested to hear what you have to say as well. Thank you very much for getting in touch. Sam Dixon has become a member. Got a lot of new things coming on that members section, by the way. To anyone who's watching this, there'll be an announcement soon. But thank you, Sam Dixon, and welcome to that level membership. And thank you for joining the channel. You've said, imagine how good Saka will be now that he has another attacker to feed off and someone else defenders need to watch. For Martinelli, this is an all-or-nothing season. I completely agree. I think it's very important to acknowledge what even the Gyokeres signing means for Bukayo Saka. Like, at various points, it was a very easy team talk for a manager. It was a very easy team talk for an opposing manager. Tactically, it was very easy to set up against Arsenal because you could basically say this sentence and it was true. Stop Saka, and on some level, you will stop Arsenal. Stopping him is a different thing. Like, I'm saying stop him. It's not easy to do it, but if you work out how to do it, and you can double up, you could potentially treble up if you use the midfielder. Stop Saka and you will stop Arsenal. Because I don't think the potency from Trossard or the potency from Martinelli or the potency from Havertz or the potency from Marino was enough to trouble anyone else if you nullified Saka. Can you imagine the player that Bukayo Saka would be if Eberechi Eze is in the team? You can no longer say double up on Saka. You can no longer say focus on Saka. You now have to say spread the back line thin, because Eberechi Eze will get you on the other side. And think about Eberechi Eze in full flow at the Emirates. Seriously, just take one moment. Eberechi Eze in full flow is one of the most glorious sights in football. The way that he carries the ball, the majestic way that he uses his body, the way that he glides rather than runs. Just take 1 second to imagine him doing that at the Emirates. Right, it's a beautiful sight. You know what Arsenal fans are, all that carpet nonsense and the Arsenal. Eberechi Eze feels very the Arsenal carpet chat, right? Now, what's Bukayo Saka doing? Whilst Gyokeres makes a run in behind, down that channel, Eberechi Eze is gliding with the ball, right? He's just moving. Nobody's getting close to him. Eberechi Eze is doing that. Where's Saka? Where's Gyokeres? Who's scoring the goal? Like, someone's going to score. Either the defence is going to go with the runners, follow Saka, track Saka, don't let Saka double up on him. Means that you're going to ultimately allow Eberechi Eze to carry the ball too far. Gyokeres, do you focus on him? Don't let the striker get the ball. Don't let the main man, the man who puts the ball in the back of the net, do not let the ball find him. Cut off the source to Gyokeres. What happens? You play Saka in. Like, Arsenal have always scored enough goals. They've always scored enough goals, but they haven't had that man to turn the ball into the back of the net. They haven't got that man that can just turn a defeat into a victory, or even a defeat into a draw. Just somebody that can pop up even when you least deserve it. And I think that they now have that man. And if you think about how good Arsenal's back line were, like Arsenal conceded fewer goals than Liverpool last year. So it was easier to score against Liverpool, the champions, than it was against Arsenal. The difference was they didn't have a difference maker in the opposition box. Well, now they have it. Utkarth Singh says, post Isak Liverpool and Eze Arsenal, what percentage Arsenal? Okay, this is an interesting question. So let's pretend that Eberechi Eze now becomes an Arsenal player. What percentage chance? I would say that Liverpool would have a 50% chance of winning the league. I would say Arsenal would have, if they sign Eze as well, a 25% chance of winning the league. And I would say Manchester City would have the lion's share of the rest, with a slither for Chelsea. Interesting way of looking at it. I like that. Thank you very much, Upcast. Christian says, Eze, left wing, Gyokeres, striker, Saka, right wing. It's juicy. And I believe he's using the word juicy as a positive. Although I've never heard it used in such context before. So we will have to assume. What I would say, though, there seems to be this thing that Eberechi Eze is definitely due to play wide. I don't necessarily see it that way. I really don't. I don't see Eberechi Eze as a guarantee to play wide. I feel like Eberechi Eze could be landing at Arsenal to give Mikel Arteta another option at number 10. Because Martin Odegaard, if we're frank, and let's just be totally honest here, right? Martin Odegaard let Arsenal down last year. I know that people don't like to talk like that, and I know that people will be saying that that's harsh, Rory, and you shouldn't really say things like that, but it's true. Eberechi Eze last season was a better player than Martin Odegaard. I'm not saying he's better overall, but Eberechi Eze was a better player last season than Martin Odegaard. So, with that in mind, if Martin Odegaard was putting in the performances that he put in last season, what Mikel Arteta will be able to do is inspire Odegaard by dropping him and playing Eberechi Eze. Then Martin Odegaard has to fight his way back in the team. So he has to get even better than Eze. And then Eze has to get back in the team and fight his way. That is how you elevate everyone. That is how everyone gets better. And maybe what then happens is Martinelli gets too good on the other wing, which means you can't drop him. And that is how you win league titles. Now, the reason that Chelsea won the league title when we won it was because Joe Cole was undroppable. And Damien Duff was undroppable. And Arjen Robben was undroppable. So everybody made themselves totally indispensable to the team. But that's how they won the league. Equally, it's what Arsenal did. When Arsenal were brilliant, you had a situation where up front, you had Anelka scoring goals. And you had everybody scoring goals. But then you also had Sylvain Wiltord, who made sure that when he was given an opportunity, he shone for Arsenal. So that is where we're at. That is where we are up to. What's gone on here? Something's happened. I don't know what it is. Insured Frames sent 50 Rory Jennings gift membership. 50? Allow gift memberships. Do I allow gift memberships? Yeah, why not? I don't even know what it means. Allow gift memberships. Actually, do I do this? I don't know what to do. Yeah, why not? Why not? I don't even know what it means. What does it mean? I've done it anyway. I play by my own rules. So, oh, hang on. My friend's just telling me what that means. One sec. Hold the line, caller. What does this mean? Hang on a second. I have to open up the WhatsApp webs. Oh, my lordy. Somebody's been unbelievable. Somebody has been unbelievable. What is going on here? Hang on, sorry. I was being very blasé about that because I didn't know what had happened. I'm very, very, very sorry. I'm very, very sorry. I didn't realise quite how significant that was. The insured frames. That's an incredible gift. Sorry. Thank you to everybody who has joined, by the way. And a huge thank you. Make sure you say thank you to the insane insured frames. That is an unbelievable gift. Thank you so much. And welcome to the new members. What a lovely, generous community that we're building here. In fact, on that, if anybody is watching this and hasn't clicked subscribe, would you please consider clicking that subscriber button right now? It would be my honour to welcome you to this community. I'm dreaming of hitting 350,000 subs. We're a million miles away from it. It's over 5,000 subs away. Or 4,500 subs away. But one day we may get there, and with your help we could. Like I say, it would be an honour to welcome you into this community. It really does help me out. So please, please, please do click that subscriber button. And also, I need to let you know, if you have just received a membership, I have brand new exclusive members content coming very soon. So you've received a membership at the perfect time because I have some brand new exclusive member stuff that's going to be starting very soon. I was going to start it for the start of the season, but off the back of that amazing gift, we might have to start it a bit sooner. So thank you very, very much. I really, really do appreciate that. That is unbelievable. Another super chat has landed, and it says, it's from Christian, who says, I agree, Odegaard let us down, but all due respect, I believe you're wrong. Mate, you're allowed to say I'm wrong. You don't have to preface it by saying all due respect. That's the beauty of football. I love the ebb and flow of conversation. I love discussing it. If you think I'm wrong, no doubt or issue with it at all. I mean, just don't swear at me. But you say all due respect, I believe you're wrong. Eze versus Trossard or Martinelli, whoever stays or goes, and Nwaneri versus Odegaard. Do you think, Christian? Look, I'm assuming that the passion with which you're speaking here, Christian, makes you an Arsenal fan. So again, I'm prepared to hold my hands up. You know your club far, far more than I do. But we know how brilliant Eberechi Eze is. And I think that Eberechi Eze is a 10, playing in the middle of the park alongside Sack. Don't get me wrong, I know he can play wide. But he undoubtedly would elevate Arsenal at a 10 if Martin Odegaard is off form. And therefore, the signing of Eberechi Eze should work in multiple ways for Arsenal, because all of a sudden, not only do they get the player that they get, but they get a better Martin Odegaard out of it as well. So that is where we are at. So yeah, I mean, truly, truly interesting stuff, but potentially a needle-moving day for Arsenal. Potentially a needle-moving day for Arsenal Football Club. Really, really, really big day for them. I've just seen another super chat. Allow me to just get across. The Sniper Scope says, Rory, why so low? Do we not have a better defence? By the way, I think what Sniper Scope is referring to here is me saying that Arsenal have a 25% chance of winning the league. Sir, I don't think that's low at all. 25% likely. I'm giving you a quarter of everything I can give you. I feel like Liverpool are front runners, and I feel like you are 25%, maybe 30%. I feel like Arsenal will finish above Man City. So maybe 30%. I think that's really high. And yet, you've got a better defence, but Liverpool were strong. Liverpool were the strongest team in the league. They're the champions for a reason. They have now already strengthened better than you. You can equalise it. There's a long way to go. You know, the link to Eze is a potential needle mover, no doubt. But you haven't signed him yet. And I think you do need to sign him. I think you do need to bring in Eberechi Eze. Without Eze, I don't think it works. I really don't. But with Eze, all of a sudden, we are talking about something really, really significant here. So yeah, it's a really, really good day for Arsenal Football Club because they have got their man. And what that tells us about them, it tells us that they mean business. It tells us that Arsenal are a serious football club again. It tells us that Arsenal are going for the jugular. It tells us that Arsenal will no longer be complacent with top four. It tells you that second is now no longer good enough and they are going for the league. Whether it works or not, I think Arsenal, Andrea Berta and everyone involved in this deal deserves credit because what they have done is they haven't been cowardly. They haven't gone out and signed somebody who might be good. They haven't taken a cheap option. They have done everything within their power to go out and sign a best-in-class. The most prodigious and ruthless goal scorer that was available this summer has now signed for Arsenal. And that should be music to Arsenal fans' ears. It really does feel huge. Let me dive into the chat and see what is going on here. Live chat. What are we saying here? 25% is very high considering how good Liverpool look right now. I agree. I thought it was particularly high, but not quite high enough for every Arsenal fan. Oh no, somebody told me I missed a super chat. Don't worry, I'm going back. That will never happen. Why so low, Rory? Right, No. You're not going to get me like that. I've definitely done them all. I'm convinced that I've done them all. But look, let me ask you then, Arsenal fans, what do you think about this? For me, it just feels like the perfect signing at the perfect time of the perfect player. You need more, I guess. You need more. But, they're talking about Mosquera coming in as well, aren't they? Well, I think he's in fact. So Mosquera arriving, it reinforces the back line. And Viktor Gyokeres, I think it's also important to acknowledge, 64 million. It's not especially heavy, is it? It's not especially heavy. I wasn't particularly impressed with the announcement video. But announcement video aside, I think it was good. And it's also important to remember that the initial payment structure, it's only 55 million. It goes up to 9 million in the add-ons. Arsenal win the league or Gyokeres wins a golden boot or whatever. But in terms of what this is, I think it's a really, really good signing. Super chat just landed here from Sam, who says, "Can Noni Madueke displace Martinelli? Better for Gyokeres." I think he can. I think he can be a competition. I think he can be competition. What Noni Madueke might become is somebody that can really be good for Arsenal, but he isn't that yet. I think ultimately the player that Noni Madueke, if Arsenal have signed him for the player that he might turn into over the next 3 years, 2 years, 18 months, whatever, it's just he isn't the player to guide them to the league now. But I do believe that he is a very good player for Arsenal in the future, which is why I think it was weird for Chelsea to sign it, although I guess we made money on him, which is what Chelsea want to do. So on some level it makes sense. But I don't think he'll feature too much, Madueke. I don't think he'll feature that much for Arsenal. There's no way. If Arsenal are playing in the Bernabeu, there's absolutely no way that Madueke's in the starting 11, is there? Absolutely not. So overall, big day, big day. And, this could be a start of things to come. Gyokeres wanted Arsenal. He's got Arsenal. He's got everything that he wanted. And when you think about who Arsenal could have ended up with, when there was talk, in January, Arteta was very keen on signing Ollie Watkins. I think that this is just so much better. This is just so much better than that. So big day for Arsenal. I think it's gone really well. Guna Therapy says, what does this mean for Havertz? On this very channel, you'll find a video that I did with Turkish. Turkish London, Arsenal fan? We did a video together where we discussed what the Gyokeres signing would mean for Kai Havertz. You can find that very video on this channel, and it doesn't feel like particularly good news for Kai Havertz. But yeah, I think the video was uploaded maybe a week or so ago. What the Kai Havertz, what the situation is for Kai Havertz if Viktor Gyokeres signed. Viktor Gyokeres has signed, so you can check that video out if you want to hear more. I've thoroughly enjoyed this going live. I would appreciate if you'd all know that I appreciate you joining. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been great. I'm going to be doing these lives far more. I'm going to be doing them far more. I really do enjoy doing them. So if you've enjoyed it, please do me a massive favour before you go. Please click that like button. It really does help me out. Oh, we didn't even get to 500 likes. That's a heartbreaker. But if you've enjoyed it, please do us a favour. Click subscribe as well. Put that little notification bell on. I'll be going live an awful lot. And like I say, to the new members, I will be starting something very, very exciting that I cannot wait to get stuck into. And to the insured frames, again, I really, really appreciate that. An unbelievable, generous gift. Mate, unreal. Good day to you, sir. And I really, really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in a bit. It has been emotional. Until next time. Ta-da!